Medford Armory, it's the Food and Farm Fair, and then Joel Salatin a little bit later on, about, 7 o'clock for his talk. And I sat down over in Jacksonville with him yesterday for a couple of hours. Just a fascinating conversation we were all having about, slaughterhouse, the regulation we got to put up with. And by the way, tickets for tonight's event, you can just buy them at the door at this point. $15 just for the Joel Salatin speech itself. If you want to go see the farm fair, I think it's Food and Farm Fair, rather. I believe that is $20. And anyway, we'll tell you more a bit later on today. And that's at the Medford Armory over on Highway 99. 10 minutes after 8. Let's see, another headline here before we talk with Miner Dave. Connecticut lawmakers mulling digital download tax. I got to tell you, it's all about the money, isn't it? All of these government gangs, it's just about the money. That's all it is. So I guess if you would download on your phone or on your computer, if you would download a computer program or an app or any sort of other deal, you have to pay the Connecticut sales tax. And the lawmakers are saying, well, we have to make it fair because our bricks and mortar people are having to collect this tax too. Yeah. So instead of finding a way to fund for your so-called needed services and pay for your government goons' pension plans, that's really what's causing problems in all the states, including here in the state of Oregon, why don't you take the taxes off the retail? Why don't you find a way to treat your existing brick-and-mortar businesses more lightly rather than finding more people to bring into the government goon squad? No one ever talks about that, though, do they? Isn't that funny? Certainly not funny, ha-ha, that's for sure. Joining me here is a gentleman who has certainly had not a fun time in his encounters with the federal government, at least, Miner Dave Everest. Hello, Dave. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Yes, good morning, Bill. And I wanted to answer a question that you got last week, or this last week. No, I do not get a jury. Yes, I'm going to demand one, and if the judge denies this. Now, I'm also charged with two.
By the way, hold on, Dave. Why don't we just set the table with exactly, for people who've never heard of you before, even though we're pretty familiar with you here. Dave Everest, you have a mining claim that you've been working, up above, which creek is this again? Oh.
It's on Sturgis Creek.
Sturgis Creek, okay.
I've had it since 2006 when I filed on it.
Mm-hmm. And the U.S. Forest Service, of course, is not happy with you being up there, claiming you don't have the Now, are they claiming you don't have the operating permits or whatever?
They're saying I don't have authorization, and they're not recognizing the mining law as the operation, and they don't look at the exemptions where miners have been exempt from a lot of the regulation. Mm-hmm. They're called savings clauses because it's a trust.
Right. And so really it's between you and the U.S. Forest Service. U.S. Forest Service is trying to get most of the miners off, right?
U.S. Forest Service, USDA, because the Forest Service is under the Department of Agriculture.
Okay. All right. So they arrested you, about 10, 12 days ago, right?
They arrested me a couple 3 weeks ago. Yes.
All right. And they told you to remove all of your equipment from that Sturgis Creek area, and they gave you a little extra time because of the bad weather,
and
right?
They'll probably give me more because from the last snowstorm, I was out there this last week, and in the camp where the trailers are, there's no snow. Mm-hmm. But where somebody had dumped garbage on me when I was gone from a prior being ordered off. Yeah,
they ordered you off, but then they charged you with not cleaning that up too, right?
Right, they charged me with not cleaning up somebody dumping garbage. And so that's a civil matter, but I'm charged with occupying, which is a form of trespass, and it's criminal. It carries a 6-month prison sentence.
Is this the same kind of law that Clifford Tracy was charged under, or was he nailed with different?
No, he was charged with something else. But then they charged me with unauthorized cutting of a tree, and I'd noticed him of my mining rights, mm-hmm. and I noticed him a default for not answering my notices. But that's getting too much into the case. What I was just saying is I got 2 criminal charges, and they're not going to let me have a jury.
Now, why are they not going to let you have a jury trial? Because they can put you in prison for this.
They consider it a petty crime, and they're not likely to send me to prison, even though the charge says I could get 6 months on those 2 charges.
Okay, well, from what I understand, you can demand a jury trial. correct?
That's what I'm going to do, and then the judge will probably deny. Well, actually, it's a magistrate right now. We're not sure if we're going to go with an Article 3 judge or an Article 4 judge.
Okay, now, let me understand here, because we've been talking about jury trials a lot here. We know that Kurt Chancellor here locally has been doing his best to invoke his right to a jury trial guaranteed by the Oregon Constitution in civil matters. Now, he's supposedly in a civil matter right now with Jackson County, and he's coming up against a brick wall also.
He needs to do an injunction demanding a jury trial in circuit court, because he's in the state court. Where I'm in federal, it's done a little differently. But he needs to do an injunction demanding a jury trial and take it in front of a circuit court judge.
Now, what do you think would happen with a jury trial in your particular case here, Miner Dave?
Well, for what's in the see, there's some difficulties with the jury. I'm going to demand one. I can prove that I own it, and any reasonable person would see that I own it, and I think a jury would acquit me. Now, that's if it gets that far. There's a lot of legal stuff that has to be hashed out, that it could end up in dismissal. And my prior case is in front of the Ninth Circuit that was occupying, that they gave me a year bench probation, and if that is overturned, then this case will go away. Now, what I was wanting to get into was self-determination, and in more general terms about the history of the mining governments.
All right, yeah, let me ask you about this, because I know a lot of folks listening this morning who may not be involved in all the nuances, the subtle nuances in language of mining law, and I don't expect people to become experts on it. I'm not going to become an expert on it. I know you folks in the Southern Oregon Mining Association are, but why should we care what's going on with you, and why this is so important?
Because mining is the foundation for civilization, from toothpaste to cell phones, from cars to gold jewelry. There isn't anything that isn't mined out of the ground. Even farmers are mining, because if you got trace minerals and farmers are growing, they're extracting minerals out that you eat in your food that you would die without. So
to a certain extent, to restrict mining or to eliminate it on the land is almost to eliminate, wealth generation and life itself in many ways.
It would eliminate civilization, and then there would be. See, there's no need. Let me explain something. In 1933, the governor of the state of Oregon did a geologic survey down here in Southern Oregon, and there's 57 minerals that they knew at the time that were strategic. Southern Oregon had 51 of them, and they estimated the value in 1933 at $14 trillion.
That's $14 trillion in 1933 dollars. Yeah.
Right. So the 1933 dollar is worth 2 cents, and so if you were to extrapolate that out, you would see that
the massive amounts of wealth which are being locked up by these rules.
And they found more minerals since then that, if given an opportunity, we might be able to find them here too now. Now,
tell me a little bit here. I don't have a lot of time today, Dave, but you were telling me how the mining associations originally were the governments in the state of Oregon or in this area. Is that true?
Yes, they were mining districts. They were the first governments. Basically, you had what was known as Jackson County at the time, kind of given, I don't know how it got its name, but which is now 4 counties. It's Jackson, Josephine, Curry, and Douglas counties.
We used to be one county, right?
Used to be one county, and they broke them all up because it was too far to go to Jacksonville for as big a county as it was when it was formed. So the first county in Josephine County was out there by Kirby until they moved it into Grants Pass. And then I don't know where all the other ones for the other counties. I only know Josephine and Jackson County.
Yeah, not important at the moment, but still. But it all started with mining here.
It started with mining. The mining got the counties started. The counties then, in turn, went to the state convention, and it was the counties that made the state. And so it was the people of the miners through coalitions, because you got to realize not everybody's a miner, and a miner's government is strictly for miners within the limited parameters of the mining law so that you could have peaceful entry. Originally, it was started so one miner wouldn't jump another gold miners. It was to have a civil society and the rule of law, and so then so then it takes 9 people for every miner in the field. And that's today's standards. I don't know what it would have been back then because it was all done manually then.
Now you're not proposing, though, that we return to the miners controlling all of government, are you? Or?
No. I'm saying is the miners will do the mining district. The mining government is just for miners, but through our mining association, SOMA, Southwest Mining Associations, that is an open public meeting, and what we want to do is we want to do outreach through that, so that if any one of these county governments fail and they collapse, we could start over. We could do a coalition, because mining law touches every facet of life, so of economic wealth, life and prosperity, and the pursuit of happiness. And so it would give us a chance to do it all over again like they did it the first time.
How interesting. Miner Dave Everest is on the program here. A little bit of history, a little bit of look at mining lore, as it were. Jerry, you had a question for Miner Dave. It's good to have you on the program. Morning.
Not necessarily a question, Bill, just a couple quick comments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I bought a documentary here that's about 30 years old. It's made right here in Southern Oregon, and it talked about Jacksonville during the Great Depression. And believe this or not, Bill, in the 1930s, Jacksonville wasn't hit as hard by the Great Depression.